Hi, I'm Malcolm.
And I'm Rachel. We're two Canadians living on our 39-foot mainship trawler, living an adventure of a lifetime. We invite you to follow along as we travel 6,000 miles through Canadian and U.S. waterways around America's Great Loop. Anchorage at Angelo Towhead. We passed under the bridge and we're all done with the Mississippi River. And now we're headed onto the Ohio River. This river, we will be going against the current. Not for very long, but enough to really slow us down. It's going to slow us down about as much as the Mississippi sped us up. So maybe even as much as 3 knots. We'll see. But we're going to be running the engine pretty hard today and trying to keep out of all the way of all the tows. And there's quite a few that we can see on the AIS, and so we're all going to kind of stick together as a group as close as we can and maneuver around these tows and get along the Ohio. Hope you're having a great day. This morning when we woke up, the wind had changed direction. The current was still holding us in place. But we all knew that it had changed direction because there's a pretty awful smell from some sort of manufacturing plant. Reminds us when we went past a lipid manufacturer on the Illinois. It was a pretty foul smell, and that's kind of what we have now. It's pretty nasty. So as we're going down the Ohio, there's lots and lots of barges here. There's obviously a lot of manufacturing that goes on here, and they need the transportation. So it'll be interesting to see. I can see there's a plant coming up ahead. And we'll see if there's any sign as to what it is, but it's a pretty gross smell. These dikes kind of along the side here, and I just looked on Google Maps, and that's the city of Cairo, and this is maybe to protect them from when the water levels go that high, but it looks kind of sketchy. Doesn't look very inviting, does it? Definitely going against the current today. Yesterday with the current we were going over 10 knots, and today we are going about 5 knots, 5.8 or something like that. And we have reduced our speed a little bit because not all the boats are able to travel as quickly, so we want to stay close together as a group so that we can pass tows and any other commercial traffic in an efficient manner. We just called the Olmsted Lock again, where we can see it. It's right there, about maybe 20 minutes out at the speed. And it's kind of funny because the guy who answered said, "Come on up, come on up, come on up."
It just shows how friendly these people are. It's really, really nice that we're coming up to these places. They don't know who you are, but they're very friendly, and it makes it a little bit more fun when you're interacting.
Exactly.
We've been on the river now for 3 hours, and yes, we've been talking to our buddy boats, but yeah, it's kind of fun.
It's neat.
So whoever you are, thanks for your
friendliness.
Your friendliness this morning. We appreciate it.
We're just approaching the lock, Olmsted Lock. They're keeping it open for us. There's one pleasure craft in there. But you can kind of see in the distance those circular or cylindrical kind of things in the water. They're huge, actually. They're several feet high, and that's because the water level is low. Those are called dolphins, and that's where tows and any kind of boat actually can just kind of tie up or lean against while they're waiting for a lock to open. We tried that at one lock. It wasn't very easy to do with our size of boat, and there's really nothing to fasten onto. But they're there, I guess, for the barges. I guess, can kind of just use their engines to stay in one position. Anyway, those are called dolphins. The water floods here so much that on top of that dolphin there's big logs and old markers that have kind of floated off and got stuck. That's amazing because that's really high. I'm going to guess about 20 to 30 feet high. Well, more than 20 for sure. Maybe 30 feet high. That's a lot of water. This lock has 2 chambers, one for smaller vessels and a second one for larger vessels. This is the Olmsted Lock. Olmsted Lock on the Ohio River, and we are going against the current, which means we went up the lock. This is the first lock we've been up since the Trent-Severn Waterway. Didn't take too long actually. There were 5 boats altogether, and we're clear. And now next stop is Paducah, Kentucky. On the Ohio River.
Yeah, what a big river this one is. I guess that's why they say the mighty Ohio.
Yeah.
So we pulled off the Mississippi this morning and just came right into the Ohio. It was very busy to begin with. Lots of barges just parked in the middle. Now, no barges. The water is flat. There's none of this swirling and currents. The water levels seem to be much higher than the Mississippi, which we were warned about. They told us it'd be more near normal. And it's actually a really nice cruise.
Yeah, it's a nice wide river, and we're going against the current.
And and it's deep.
Yeah.
So you have far less to worry about as far as hitting those 9-foot sections of the Mississippi. Here, I mean, we're in 39 feet of water and we're right in the middle of the channel. So it's a lot less nerve-wracking than going down the Mississippi. And it doesn't hurt that we actually know we're going to be in a marina for 2 nights as well. That's kind of nice.
That's true.
And the other piece that was completely unexpected for me was the heat. Back home in Canada, you get late September, early October. It's not unusual that you're going to get your first snow in October sometimes, depending where you are. But I'll tell you, we're going to be hitting 38 degrees Celsius, which is over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, for a couple of days, these next couple of days. So that's a little bit of an adjustment, getting used to this heat. So we'll see how that all goes. Thank goodness we have air conditioning, and thank goodness we plugged in. So maybe it's a sign of what's to come when we get down to Florida.
Yeah, well, I think next week, the week after, it's supposed to be a bit more kind of what I'll call normal temperatures, maybe 28, 29, 27, 28, something like that, Celsius. So that's going to be a lot more manageable. But this next few days, it's a bit of a heat wave.
Yeah, and it's been in the 30s for the last 3 days.
And humid, not just hot, but very humid, so it feels hotter than it is.
And
anyway.
I got to say, so we went into Anchor and into a place called Angelo's Towhead. Nice place. We didn't have any issues there.
Right at the end of the Mississippi, just before we hit the Ohio.
And the wind was coming, I think, from, let's call it the northwest. So it was very pleasant. We had dinner where we tried to have dinner on the flybridge until the bugs got us. But then around about 10 o'clock, the wind shifted. And so too did the smell.
Yeah, we talked about that this morning, or I did.
Yeah, so
it was pretty gross.
It was quite a disgusting smell. It stuck with us until we got into the Ohio and about 10 miles up the Ohio. And now it's clear and it smells great up here. So it's not only a voyage for your visual senses, but also for your smell and everything else. It's again something perhaps I should have expected, but never thought that we'd be seeing so much difference in the aroma of the various cities.
Well, since we hit the industrial part from Chicago down, it's been interesting smells, let's say that. And the water really is not very clean at all compared to what we're used to in Canada. So we would never swim in water that's this contaminated and dirty looking.
And I don't think many people around here would either. There's very few people that we've seen actually in the water.
There's still people fishing though. I don't think they'd want to even eat the fish in this water.
Yeah, I have to admit.
I don't know.
It's commercial. That seems to be the primary objective of this waterway. There's very few houses really on the waterway, so it's very commercial. Lots of plants, lots of coal plants.
Lots of trees around here, though. It's looking the green trees obviously help keep the air cleaner. And
I'll tell you, the Ohio actually looks quite a bit, and sorry Mississippi, but looks quite a bit nicer than Mississippi right now.
This little part that we're going on. We're not going to be on very long, actually, are we?
We're not. And the water is up. The banks aren't all eroded. It looks like a nice river.
So far, a good day.
A very good day. Yeah.
And hope you're having a good day too. Behind me here is the town of Metropolis, Illinois. Apparently the home of Superman, and they have a big Superman statue there. So we just went under that bridge, and then the little town of Metropolis is there. We're traveling down the Ohio River against the current, as we mentioned before. And on our port side is Illinois, and on our starboard side is Kentucky. So we're going to be entering a new state today once we dock the boat on that side. It'll be in Paducah, Kentucky. The city of Paducah is located about halfway between St. Louis and Nashville, with a population around 27,000. It is on the Ohio River, right where it meets the Tennessee River. In 1937, the Ohio River at Paducah rose above its 50-foot flood stage, cresting at 60.8 feet. Driven by 18 inches of rainfall in 16 days, along with sheets of swiftly moving ice, the Ohio River flood of 1937 was the worst natural disaster in Paducah's history and elsewhere in the Ohio Valley. The levee was ineffective against the flood, and as a result, the United States Army Corps of Engineers was authorized to build the flood wall that now protects the city. Murals decorate the inside of the flood wall and tell the history of the city. Paducah became the site of dry dock facilities for steamboats and towboats and headquarters for many barge companies. Because of its proximity to coal fields, it also became an important railway hub. The river continues to be a prominent source of industry for Paducah. 23 barge companies have their operating or corporate headquarters in Paducah. In 2017, the city opened a 340-foot transient boat dock that provides space for transient boaters to tie up for a few hours or several nights, increasing tourism in the city, and is used by most loopers on the Great Loop. This wall that's built all around the city, well, along the riverside anyway, has big gates that can close. So in the event of a severe flood, they're protecting their city. And so they put all these murals all along with the history of Paducah. It's kind of neat. The other side of that wall I was showing you, that's the wall that's like a dike protecting the city from floods.
It's huge. And I guess in 1938, I think, or 36, one of two, they had a huge flood here. It was like up 65 feet from the base of the river. And then the next year, apparently, it absolutely froze solid. So you could actually run cars on the actual river. And that stopped the traffic, all the barge traffic, which is really substantial. So it was kind of interesting how within a period of 2 years they had these natural sort of disasters, if you like. I don't know what the recent flooding is, but they're certainly prepared as far as building dikes and everything floats. Floating, they're not floating, they're fixed.
Those are fixed piers or posts for the docks to go up and down when there's flooding. Look how high it is, it's really high. So you can see I guess they're like pylons, these posts where it's a floating dock and they go up and down on these big posts that are secure. And they can go up, it looks like a good 40 feet at least. And so that way they don't have to move the dock just goes up and down all by itself. It's kind of neat. We arrived into Paducah yesterday, and I don't know if I even said that we arrived here, but we're here, and it's a really nice dock. The city of Paducah has spent a lot of money on this dock, so it's really good. They've invited people to come and stay here and enter the city and support the local businesses. And we just noticed that they're having a barbecue over the next few days. We're not going to be here, unfortunately, for that, but starting on the 21st of September for a few days. And so that looks like a really nice spot overlooking the water and having a barbecue here with all the local people. What are you doing there?
I am standing in preparation for
gel coat?
Gel coat work. Yeah.
Oh, looking good. The National Quilt Museum opened in downtown Paducah in 1991. Paducah has been part of the UNESCO Creative Cities Network in the category of craft and folk art since 2013. It is the only museum dedicated to contemporary quilts and quilt makers. The main gallery is devoted to a rotating selection from the museum's collection of over 600 quilts. In addition, the museum also offers educational opportunities for adults and kids of all skill levels. There were some very unique designs with quilts displayed from all around the world.